Okay. Magnificent evening, everyone, and to all the poets around the world. Good evening, migrants, writers of Hong Kong. I'm Lisel Marcos Fernandez, your host for tonight, and welcome to Connected Different Voices, One Passions. I know everyone is excited to know about our guest, but before that, please allow me to introduce to you about our community. Migrant Writers of Hong Kong was founded on the 30th of March 2021. This is a social media platform that aims to connect migrant domestic workers, poets, artists, storytellers, and authors around the world. It allows members to share their poems, stories, arts, and photography because we believe writing and arts clarifies our thinking, allow us to articulate and explain ourselves to others, and allow us to work together to be connected. Our group also featured different challenges and segments. To name this, we have Monday Prompt, wherein the members are given a specific theme and they are free to share their written piece. We challenge them to write anything related to our prompt, and it could be in a form of quotes, essay, short stories, or poems that they are comfortable with. And we also have Monday on Spotlight, featuring writers and poets in the community. We have the Creative Tuesday Challenge, in which we featured various artists sharing their artworks as an inspiration in writing. We have the Thursday Photo Challenge, featuring aspiring photographers and using their shots as a motivation in writing. We have the Friday Challenge, wherein we present different poetic devices and poetry forms as tools for the members to write their rhythmical pieces. And every first and third Sunday of the month, we have the Writers in Motion, featuring writers, poets, and authors in the community. We have also monthly photo challenge, in which each member will be given a specific photo which they can use as a basis in writing their piece with a theme that differs every month. And every second and fourth Wednesday of the month, we have Connected Different Voices, One Passion, in which we connect to multi-talented and diverse international poets, writers, and storytellers, delving their works and achievements and learning from their experiences. And now, I'm so excited to introduce to you our guest for tonight. He lives in the United States, residing in the state of Michigan. He is an educator with a bachelor degree in special education. He has a major in emotionally impaired and a minor in English, language, and literature. He also has a master's degree in educational leadership. He is the oldest of the three children. He has two sisters named Julie and Sarah. He was raised by his parents, Dennis and Helen. He is married to his wife, Melissa, and he is the proud parent of two children, Megan and Mason. He is an author with a focus on poetry. He has collaborated with artists and poets alike. He has several YouTube videos of his works that were produced by Alan Johnson and has been spotlighted by various poetry groups. He has also been invited by poetry groups to recite his poetry and has had poems recited on shows and within various poetry circles. He has also been keynote speaker at colleges in India, and his poetry has been acknowledged on news channels and in newspapers throughout in India. Currently, he he is an administrator on one of the largest poetry Facebook sites called The Passion of Poetry. It currently has 22,000 members and it is growing daily. Has been recognized for his writing worldwide, has received numerous accolades, and has produced both commission and published work, including more recently in stories and poems, in songs of life, around the world, landscapes and cityscapes, and a love letter or poem to All by Sweetie Cat Press. His poems also appeared in the anthologies The Literary Parrot, Metamorphosis, Speaking in Tanka, and Break the Silence, an anthology against domestic violence, Volume 2 by Brenda Mohammed. In January of this year, he released his debut book of poetry called Reflection of Light, a, a poetically shared journey of self-discovery. He's currently working on his second book of poetry that will be released early this summer. And now, let's welcome our guest for tonight is no other than Mr. Dennis Brown. Welcome, Dennis.
Thank you, Ms. Fernandez, and thank you to the Migrant Writers of Hong Kong for having me on. I'm very honored to be here.
Oh, thank you so much. Okay. When did your passion of writing start?
6 or 7, and it was a poem, but it wasn't very good, but it was then that I enjoyed writing. I enjoyed getting my feelings out on paper and expressing it. So I pretty much all my life I've enjoyed writing. I've had a passion for writing. I didn't write much though until I really my writing started to blossom more during the COVID period. I wrote off and on prior to that, but it was during COVID in the last 3 years it provided an escape for me. And, just a way to just kind of get away from everything for a minute and just be in your own world and write what you feel. And it was a therapy for me, and it continues to be a therapy. Writing, I feel, is a great therapy for anyone, just to express themselves, especially if you're not really expressive, to each other orally or in person. Writing it down seems to be a big benefit to that. But yes, I've had a passion all my life. But really, in particular, it's been within the last 3 years that I've really, really delved into my passion.
Oh, then the COVID helped you to bring back your passion in writing.
Yes, exactly.
Yes,
It
and
did.
I believe that writing
Yeah.
and writing is a therapy. I believe in that.
Yes, I agree
Thank you
100%.
so much.
Thank you.
Okay. How long does it takes to you to write your first book, and who inspired you to publish it?
When I decided to write my first book, I had all the substance of it. So since COVID, I've probably written about 300 poems within 3 years here. So I had everything I needed for the book. It was already there. And I'm like, why not? This has always been a passion to be able to put something out there and to publish my book. So I reached out to, I know you had talked that I'm an administrator of the Passion of Poetry. It's a large Facebook group for poets. And, and Miss Annette Tarpley, you've had her on before. She was a big inspiration to me, and a lot of people helped me along the way and led me in the right direction to some people that could help me publish my book. So it's actually a lady out of Florida published my book in the US. And, but I'd say my inspiration just came from joining the Passion of Poetry and meeting people that said, listen, you have you have a talent, you have something that you can share with the world, and why not? So they really encouraged me to be able to put my writings out there, my poems out there, and I'm very happy I did. And it's been a dream come true. I've always wanted to have something out there published, and I know I'm in anthologies, but just to have your own book, it just I'm very excited and very happy I did it. But yes, it's the poetry world in general and the people I met worldwide were a lot of my inspiration to write this book.
Oh, it's great to know that, and Dennis, and yeah, and Miss Tarpley, it's really an inspiration to everyone,
Yes,
and thanks to the passion of poetry. Yeah,
yeah.
and and what changes happened to you after you publish your first book?
Yeah, it's funny you asked that, and I was told this. I was warned this prior to that. Not really warned, but I was told that once I started to kind of become my writing and my poetry became kind of more popular, and I started to grow prior to writing the book and publishing the book. But somebody said after you publish your first book, it's when you're going to be people are going to reach out to you. More people are going to get in contact with you. Just wait and see. And so yeah, after I published my first book, a different organizations reached out. Of course, you guys reached out, and just more avenues opened up, and I met a lot more people that were very interested in what I had to write about. And I have a large kind of, I don't know, a following of people that like and enjoy my poetry, and it's very fulfilling to me. It feels good. My poetry with me, I write for myself. It's kind of like a healing thing and a creative thing and a passion, but I also write for others, and I write for others to heal, for others to relate. I mean, if I'm sure because you've commented on some of my poetry. I write depending on what I feel, and it could be happy, it could be sad, I could be angry, um, and write about that. Actually, I just wrote a poem yesterday. I know this is a little off topic, but I don't know if the world, I'm sure, might be aware, but in Texas we had another school shooting, and I believe 14 children were killed and a teacher. And I'm so angry. I just don't understand. It's just so senseless. And so I kind of vented yesterday, and I wrote a poem yesterday just about how society and the demise of society, and how our children growing up in our society in the U.S. Are almost desensitized to the violence. It's an everyday thing to them, and it's sad because it shouldn't be that way. They shouldn't fear or even turn on the TV and see a school shooting and not think twice about it, because it's part of what they're dealing with on an everyday basis. So I'm sorry it was off topic. It was just something near and dear to my heart. But I just, I channels opened up. Getting back to that, I've met a lot of wonderful people in the process, and I continue to meet a lot of wonderful people in organizations that reach out to me. So
Thank you for sharing, Dennis. And yes, and through writing, we can release our emotions. Yeah, I believe in that.
yes.
And and after publishing your book, what is the reaction of your family?
They're proud of me.
Are
My
they
I
so
have
proud of you?
Yeah, my wife is very supportive. I have a wife that has been nothing but supportive through this, Melissa. My children, in my book, I have some poems to them. I have a poem to my son. I have a poem to my daughter. I have a poem dedicated to my mother and father. And my parents are proud of me. It's funny because my dad is a very quiet, humble man. And he is one of my biggest supporters. Like when I put a poem out, he will be one of the first people to like it or comment on it. And I never saw that creative side of my dad growing up. He was always that person that supported the family and the non-creative person, but he really enjoys my poetry, and it makes me feel good because it's something that have a passion for. And so everybody in my family do. When I first brought my book out and published it, I had relatives and cousins and all that reaching out to me and saying, is it on Amazon yet? Or how do you get it? And they all wanted to get it. And, it's kind of, it's something that's cool. But yeah, have nothing but supportive family throughout it. And they just keep cheering me on to keep putting more stuff out there.
Oh, you're so blessed having a and supportive family because and we know that not all poets have an family that support them, and you're blessed. I'm
Thank
happy
you.
for you and
Thank you.
congratulations for having your new book.
Thank you.
And
Thank
now,
you.
and we have some comments here. Okay, from Jenny Lynn and watching from Singapore. Thank you so much, sis Jenny Lynn.
Thank you, Jeneline. I
And
appreciate the support.
from her again, congratulations, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
And to migrant writers of Hong Kong, absolutely, sir. And world happening can affect your mode in writing. Prayers to them. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
And to Life Diary 511, to Ate Eileen, absolutely, sir. World happening can affect your mood. Oh,
Yes.
it's, oh. Okay, from Amazing Jane Corner. That was really very tragic and cried a lot when read the article about the killing. My prayers for their family to be able to get through this. Thank you so much, Amazing Jane.
Thank you, Amazing Jane. It just it's so many lives were changed by that one senseless act. Families are torn apart, never be the same again. And you should never have to be a child and walk into a school building and not feel safe. So I don't know what the answer is to all of it, but definitely prayers to that family, to the families that are going through this horrific tragedy.
Yeah, we pray for them. And you can read your first point, sir.
Yeah, it was
Okay.
okay. So I had actually after that, I kind of want to. I had one poem that like right now that I was going to read, but it's kind of a downer. So let me switch to another one of the poems I wanted to read. This is called Capture Your Beauty. I wish I could capture all the beauty that falls upon our bewildered eyes, so I could bottle it up for you and me and release it during our stormy skies. There is so much beauty to be found. We just have to look beyond our pain and know that we will find our colors, for every rainbow follows rain. We must try to heal our darkest nights and look among the brightest days to release what we cannot keep and catch our strength within its rays. Our world is full of wondrous beauty, a beauty meant for you and I. So release your bottle of cloudy days and capture the beauty of your bluest sky.
Oh, thank you so much for that wonderful poem,
Thank
Dennis.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Somebody popped in for a second.
Okay, we read some comments here. Oh, from Ate Bernadette de la Cruz. Good morning, Sir Dennis and America, and good evening, migrant writers of Hong Kong. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, Ate Bernadette.
Thank you, Bernadette.
And
Thank you.
from Ate Eileen May, good evening, lovely host, and to our guest.
Thank you. Good evening.
Oh, and to Odimar S. Fernandez. Prayers to the victims and to the family. Oh,
Thank you.
thank you for joining us tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
And what is your favorite poetic device you always use to write your poem, Dennis?
Um, as far as what I write it on, is that what you mean? Like how I write it or where I write it?
And poetic device and
Like the
metaphors, maybe
style?
like that.
Oh, yes.
Yes,
Okay.
yes,
Like,
yes.
yes. Okay.
Absolutely.
Um,
Absolutely.
well, those of you who know me and know my writing, I rhyme. I am a rhymer. I rhyme most of my poetry. I grew up, obviously, Dr. Seuss was one of my favorite. Growing up as a child, I've probably memorized every one of his books. Uh, I I I love rhyming because it's like a song. It's like I mean, you can almost sing it. And it's not as easy as some people think. It's not like rhyming is something that you put two words together, and all of a sudden, as long as they rhyme, it sounds good, because that's not always the case. I think rhyming's it can be a difficult thing to do. So I'm really always fine tuning my poems and my rhymes, and because the thing about it is you can put two words together, but they might not have the meaning that you want them to have or intend them to have. But you've got to find just the right rhymes to make that poem work and make it sing or make it a melody, whatever way, a happy melody, a sad melody, whatever it is. So I am a rhymer. Now, I have written some prose. I've written some poetry that don't rhyme. I have gotten comments and feedback that it was good. It's just not my forte. It's just not what I enjoy doing. So I tend to stick more with rhyming, but every once in a while I would just throw out a prose and just shock everybody, because they're like, wait a second, that doesn't rhyme. What did you do here? So but yes, my rhyming, I will continue to rhyme. Most of my poetry will deal with rhyming, and usually it's about 4 to 5 stanzas, and that's kind of how I flow. I'm a very big quote person too, quotation person. So if you see on my page, you will see some quotes that I create. I love to write quotes, So I will put them out there as well. But a lot of times my quotes rhyme. So I mean, that's just me. I'm the rhyming poet, I guess.
Oh, you're so amazing. And not all poets know and love rhyming, because it's, as as you've said, it's hard. You need to think words that rhyme with the last word. Thank you so much for that, Dennis.
Yes.
Okay. And what was the hardest poem you have written, and why?
Hmm. As far as hardest poem, like as far as like technical or anything like that, my poetry, I write pretty quickly. I know Miss Annette Tarpley had got, you had her on, and she talks about how she writes her poetry pretty quickly. It comes to her. I'm kind of the same way. I think that's why we bonded so well, and I kind of, we, reached out to one another. I usually write my poetry within a half an hour, whatever poems I write, and I write them until they're done. So I think the hardest thing is maybe finishing it, where I'm at that last line or two, and I just want to get it just right, and I won't put it down until I do. So that's the hardest part, is just kind of finishing it off, and to where I'm happy with how it flowed and the ending of it. As far as writing the poem that's the most difficult, I've written a couple poems of people that have lost loved ones. I actually wrote a poem and read it at my grandmother's funeral. That was kind of a hard poem, especially to read. I actually there's a lady out of Canada that I reached out to. It's a long story, but she's actually the person that did my illustrations in my book, Reflections of Light. And her name's Deanna Brown, ironically the same last name. And she we I reached out to her for other reasons, but she ended up she's an artist, and she reached back out to me one day and said, I have this angel, this picture of an angel baby, and it's from a parents that lost their baby. And I would like you to write the poem to go with my picture, um, and my painting. And I was honored. I wrote the poem. It's called Angel Wings, and she put it into her painting, and she gave it to that family who had lost their child. And to me, I mean, honestly, if nobody ever follows me again, or nobody ever likes my poetry again, to know that there's a painting with my poem up on a wall of a father and a mother who lost their child, that they look at, and they know that means so much to them, that's more than enough for me. You know what I mean? It's more than enough. It just it fills my heart with joy that I could give that to them. So, that's kind of how I am with all of it. I don't I don't write to be popular. I write to heal, to heal myself, to heal others. If somebody can relate to my poetry, just anybody, then I feel like I'm doing my job as well. And so that's kind of where I'm at with that.
Oh, thank you so much, Dennis. And I like the words say, you're not you're not and writing for popularity, but you're writing because you want to heal yourself, to heal someone else. And yeah, thank you so much for that. It's very nice.
Thank you. Appreciate
And
it.
and have you ever experienced rejections in your writings?
You know, Oddly enough, I know everybody has critics, but I haven't faced the critic yet. I haven't. I had one person, I wrote something and they were like, well, you gotta, those, they gotta toughen up about it, because it was about going through stuff. And they kind of, their response was, well, if they're tough about it, then it's not going to be that way, kind of thing. So, but honestly, I have, everybody's been supportive of my poetry, and I haven't had rejections. I'm sure I will, and I'm sure that, not everybody's going to like my poetry. I mean, that's just a simple fact. I mean, but that's okay. I don't, like I said, I don't write for, I don't write to have thousands of followers. I write because this is what I want to do in my passion. And if I have critics, I have critics. And my thing is, and the way I look at critics is, if you have critics, then in some way you are influencing them in some way, either good or bad. So, I mean, and obviously with a critic, it might be a bad thing, but you've got their attention, and that's fine, because how many things in our world have gotten done because there's been critics, and it's drawn attention to what is going on. So my thing is if you're going to be a critic, that's fine. Draw attention to it. Do what you want. It's just going to make more people respond in whatever way they want to respond, and it's just, if that makes sense, it's just it opens up a conversation among even more people, and that could be a great thing, and that could be something that's going to possibly change the world in some way. So,
Oh, thank you so much for that wonderful answer, Dennis. And now, you can read your second point.
all righty.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm, as you can, I'll go back to the first one I was gonna. As you can see, I'm kind of a soft-hearted individual. I wear my emotion on my sleeve. I do not hide much of anything, and I think that obviously comes out in my poetry. But being a teacher, I just recently experienced a situation where I had a student of mine that is was in a foster home, and the foster parent kind of just couldn't deal with the situation anymore, and he went back into the system. And in not putting down our country, but the bottom line is our system for kids with that don't have a place to be is broken, and it needs to be fixed in some way. I don't know what the answer is, but it needs to be fixed. So I just can't imagine being a child waking up every day, either at a different place or a place where you don't know where you're going to be the next day. So that's kind of where I'm at with all of that. We need to do something. But after that had happened and he ended up going back in the system, I wrote this poem. It's called The Forgotten Boy with No Family. He cries out, but no one hears. There's no one there to wipe his tears. Not a mom or dad around to pick him up off the ground. He was lost among the thrown away to face another hopeless day, just longing for a chance to be a part of a loving family. Sometimes he dreams within the night that open arms would hold him tight, to face each day with a strength so bold and see all the beauty that life can hold. But most nights are filled with loneliness, where his mind heads to the dark abyss, to a world that never sees the day when hope is found where hopeless lay. As we count each blessing we've been given for a chance at life with the life we're living, close your eyes and begin to pray for the forgotten boy with no family.
So emotionally. So emotional. Oh, thank you
It
for reciting your poem, Dennis. Yeah.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. I appreciate it. It was something that was it breaks my heart. It breaks my heart, and you know, I think my children. I have two wonderful children, and I think I realize, you know, they should realize that they're so lucky to be in a position they're in. You know, they've got a place to lay their head at night, and a loving mother and father, and a supportive family, and it's and not everybody has that. You know, I try to actually, my son now, he's going into the ninth grade. He's 14. He I tried to show him that other side, to let him know that, you know, there's life beyond, you know, what you have, you know, and there's a lot of kids out there that don't have the chance to get what you get, or to have the opportunities that you have. So I really stress that with my kids, and I think they understand that. I have a 23-year-old stepdaughter now that is graduated from college. I'm so proud of her. She's an accountant, and she is a great kid, and she gets it. You know, she understands, and she's a caring individual, and I couldn't ask for more. You know, so but yeah, it's near and dear to my heart. Obviously, I'm a teacher for a reason. I care about kids, and and when something like that happens, it breaks my heart. But I didn't I didn't plan on, like, the whole school shooting yesterday happened. Like, I didn't want this whole thing to be a downer. You know, it's just kind of, you know. But you know, unfortunately, like I said, I wear my emotions on my sleeve, and uh, you know what you feel from day to day, like some of the viewers said that it's like, you know, you write or you express on a daily basis, whether it's good or bad. And I know, coming into work today, to my school, to my job, where all the kids should feel safe, I came in with a lot of emotion. I came in with a lot of feeling, because it's just, you know, the society is just, it needs to heal. It needs to continue. You know, it needs to heal and go forward. But anyways, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, I feel you, Dennis, that and I feel you, because and me myself, I love kids. Then I don't want to see anyone that and it's in danger like that. So yeah, and I'm so sad for their family. I'm praying for them. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much, Dennis.
Thank you.
And yes, your kids are so blessed having you, and having you as a father, and Melissa as their mother. And thank you so much.
I appreciate it. Thank you
And
very much.
now we have comments. You're welcome, Denise. And we read some comments here. Okay. Oh, from Ate Divina. A nice poem, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, to Ate Maria. That was such a emotional poem, Sir Dennis. Yeah,
Thank
so
you. I
emotional.
appreciate. I appreciate it.
Okay, from Anne Maureen, it burst my heart. Yeah.
Thank you, Anne Marine. Thank you.
And from Migrant Writers of Hong Kong, I agree. There are many kids who got nothing growing up. They grew up and scrapping, so it's really good to let them know that living is not easy and not all they want will come in handy. Yeah,
Mm. I agree. A
thank you
hundred, a
so
hundred
much.
percent. Thank you. Yes, I agree.
Okay. And you can read your third point, sir.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. Um,
thank you.
okay. So this is called. It's kind of a love poem. So, you know, like I said, I write all kinds of different styles of poems, depending on how I feel, and I particularly like when I write love poetry, Actually, that book that I'm going to have, the second book coming out, it's going to be a 50 love poems. It's going to be a smaller book, but it's just going to be 50 love poems. And I enjoy writing love poetry, whether it's love from someone that's in your life at the moment or love of someone that you lost. And then this is a poem I wrote, and you can kind of make up your mind with this. It says, "From deep within, she calls to me so gently, whispering so tenderly, caressing my eager soul with her loving memories. Her voice is from an angel, so peaceful and serene, as she sings to me each night within my fondest dreams. Thoughts of her pass gently by, like the ships pass in the seas, as the waves of her sweet love lift me off my weary feet. She wakes me from within my sleep in dreams that seem so real, as she sings her sweet melodies with sounds of love I long to feel. Each day I wait for night to fall to find my true love again, as I listen for each memory and feel her voice from deep within."
Oh, thank you so much, Dennis, for that. And now it's a love poem. It's
Yes,
different.
it's different. Yes, it's different.
Yeah. Be- Yeah, and from emotion to love, and wow, it's great.
Well, it's
Very nice.
love is an emotion, right? So love is definitely an emotion, and it's a good emotion. It's a great emotion, and this world needs more love within it, right? Love is, you can never have enough love.
Yeah, I agree to that. And where did you get that where did you get that idea to write that poem?
You know, just like any poem, I'll sit down to write. Sometimes I'll write just because I just feel like I want to put something out there. Other times it's something I'm experiencing in the moment, and so I want to get it down. This particular poem, I think it was just one night. I just sat down and the thing about it is I never really have a plan when I write my poem. I to tell you the truth, I come up with a title. I come up with a title, and then from that title, I build my poem. And I thought about, in this case, from deep within. But other times I will come up with a poem, and then I'll figure out my title afterwards. So it kind of goes back and forth. But I just started writing it, and no particular reason. I think it just kind of flowed, and I kept going with it. And so sometimes I have a really good reason, or I have something that I really want to get out. Other times I'll just want to be creative and sit down, and it will flow, and wherever it takes me, it takes me. And in this particular time, it took me, as you see, some people believe that it was a love that was lost, maybe through death, or maybe just they're still alive but they lost that true love, but they still love that person. And I don't know, it's just, I think a lot of what we write is based on a lot of experiences we have, or we see, but I tend to write even on things that I don't experience, but I know others do. And I think I stated that earlier. I am a I have written stuff on abuse. That book, that anthology that you had said I was in earlier, Brenda Muhammad, an amazing poet, a writer. I'm in her anthology, and the whole book was about violence and domestic abuse. And I myself haven't experienced it, but I know people who have, and so I kind of it's near and dear to my heart. It's an issue that I like to express myself about, because those are the type of poems that, if someone is going through that, that they can, maybe it can touch them in some way, or that it can make them feel like there's more to that situation, and that they can overcome it or get out of that situation. So that's kind of where I'm at with that. I write, I'm all over the board with how I write. And sometimes, like I said, it's how I feel at the moment. Other times it's what I think others are going through, or it's just I sit down and boom, out comes a poem. And that's kind of it.
Yeah, and one of my friend is and like that also. She telling me the story of his her life, and then suddenly I come up with a poem, and then when I read, I don't know, and she just crying. And a lot of people say, "Oh, is that you?" No, it's a story about my friend. I say like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and you're right. And sometimes people reach out to me if I write something that's not about me, that might be sad, and they're like, "I'm sorry you're going through that." And I kind of like, I'll usually respond like, I'm not, this is just me expressing, you know, a particular situation. It doesn't mean I'm going through it. But it becomes people, like when you write it on paper, people almost immediately connect it to you and your life. And like I said, there's sometimes it is me in my life, but many other times it's not really my life. Um, but it might be how I feel about other things, or how I feel that others are feeling, or what others are feeling. So yeah, you're right. I sometimes it's funny because I'll write a poem, I'll read it to my wife, Melissa, and she'll be like, they're going to probably think that's you're going through that, and because like I write about people that are like go through losing their husband or wife, or a divorce, or something like that, and they're like, are people going to think that you went through that? I'm like, well, some of them probably might think that, but I'm happily married, and and don't worry about it. Well, yeah, I'll explain if I have to, but it's kind of funny that way, because people tend to think that is you all the time, and it's not you all the time. It's just what you write.
Yeah, I agree with you. But before, and it's all about myself, but times come, then other story, and I just write.
Yeah,
Thank you
and
for sharing, Dennis.
thank you.
Okay, go on. You have something to tell?
Oh no, I'm good. I appreciate it. Like, thank you very much. I you, obviously you like you have that creative sense, and you enjoy that part as well, and it is so nice to be able to. I've met so many wonderful writers and poets from around the world, and people that just relate to one another. The poetry world doesn't get a lot of support. I know here in America, if you go to a bookstore, which there aren't many bookstores around anymore, it's usually, but when you go there, you have all these nonfiction books, these fiction books, these autobiographies, these whatever. And then you go to the poetry section, and it's the smallest section in the store. And it's so nice to be able to be a part of a community that yearns to get their writing out, and just tell a story. So it's good. It's good that way. But I love the people that I talk to on a daily basis from around the world, because they all share the same passion as I do.
Okay, let's. Can you read the comment here? Can you read?
Oh yes, it says, I love the words in your background. Be kind. And out of the topic question, what is your definition about kindness? Okay. Kindness to me, I'm a huge person on the word respect. I am all about respect. That is, I always tell my students, I said, if you respect, if you have respect in you and you respect others, uh, all of that other stuff falls in place. I mean, respect is such a big thing. And oftentimes sometimes you don't get that respect. But if you have respect and give respect, you are a kind person. It kind of follows suit. Kindness is just understanding and having a tolerance. We aren't all the same. We're individuals. Each of us struggle with our own demons. Each of us struggle with our life that, at times and different times and what's given to us. And you have to respect that with everybody. You can't jump to a conclusion. You might find somebody that's like just not a nice person, but until you're in that person's shoes, is it really fair to judge? Is it really fair to say, well, that person's just an evil person or a mean person? We don't know why that person feels that way or what that person's going through. So my thing about kindness is tolerance. It's respect. Just knowing that everybody has their own story, and everybody will have their own ending. And you know what? Whatever you do within that, is just not be that person that judges, and not be that person that you know looks down upon that. I believe me, we're not everybody's going to get along in this world. That's why we all know that. It's just, but if there was a little more kindness, just if you woke up, each person woke up one day and just said, today I'm going out of my way. I'm going to be kind. I'm going to be kind to that person who, wasn't nice to me the day before. It can change the world. It can change your mindset. I'm a big person on mindset. And at our school, there's a fixed mindset and a growth mindset. As a fixed mindset, it's you believe what you believe and you're not going to change. Nobody's going to change your opinion. A growth mindset is you have the ability to change. And that's where I'm at with all that. So just everybody just be kind. That's my advice.
Thank you so much for your answer, Dennis. And we read some comments here from
Okay.
Migrant Writers of Hong Kong. Such a lovely poem. I love the rhyme too. I'm in love. Oh, thank you
All
so
right.
much. And from Odimar Fernandez, Senior, amazing love poem, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
And to Ate Maria, I agree that three poems that you shared to us tonight portrays different emotions and different messages, but all are awesomely delivered.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And this is what I say, the support. I love the support within this community. It's great. The love is great.
Okay, from Anne Marie, whatever we feel and whatever we want to voice out, at that moment, our pen will automatically scribble. Not all our poems are own experiences. It is our understanding and feelings around us.
Yes, and Anne Marine, thank you. And I
Thank you.
know her from the Passion of Poetry. I've seen her write her poetry and stuff, and I agree. And I thank you for tuning in, Anne Marie.
Okay, from Migrant Writers of Hong Kong, I agree. Most people think that we always write about ourselves. From Migrant Writers of Hong Kong, definitely respect is one form of kindness. Okay. Thank you so much for that comments.
Thank you.
And to end up this segment, and last question, Dennis, do you have a suggestions and inspirational message to help aspiring poets like us, writers, to be better in their chosen field?
Yeah, I've always said this, so I may sound like a broken record to some, but my inspirational message is to continue to do what you love. And you know if it's a passion of yours, don't quit, don't give up on that passion. Those people that you say that are critics. There's always going to be critics, but there's for every one critic, there's going to be so much more that's going to enjoy your writing and what you do and how you write. So, don't quit, don't give up. And you always have the ability to grow. I mean, when I started writing poetry, like I had mentioned when I was young, it didn't even I called it a poem, but it wasn't very good, but as I continue to write, like my 350th poem, I feel I've grown is better than my my 100th poem. You know what I mean? So it's you just you just keep going, keep aspiring to do what you want to do, and don't let anybody tell you otherwise, because it ultimately is all about you and your passion. And I don't care what anybody says. If you want it bad enough and you want that passion bad enough, you will find a way to achieve it and achieve what you dream of doing. I never thought I would eventually write a book of poetry and publish it. But then as I started growing more confident and meeting people, they're like, you know what, you can do this. And I did it. And so don't give up. Don't quit. Keep writing. Like they in Migrant Writers of Hong Kong said. Exactly. Keep writing. Keep following your passion.
Oh, thank you so much for that an inspiring message to everyone, Dennis. And thank you for having you here tonight, and to all the viewers. Thank you so much. And bye bye.
Thank you, Miss.
Thank you,
Yes,
Dennis.
thank you, Miss Fernandez, and thank you, Migrant Writers of Hong Kong. I am very honored to have been here. Anytime, reach out to me. I love all you guys, and keep doing what you do, and thank everybody for following and being supporters. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Dennis.
Bye
Thank you,
bye.
everyone. Bye bye.
Bye bye.